The
Countdown.
countdown.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody to Witch Bitch, where we talk the real tea. And today we have Kim Martin on the show. Another another new person that we haven't had on the show before, which is always super exciting for us because we get to hear another awakening story.
Mm.
Because that's like our theme whenever someone new comes on. We ask the big question of what was your awakening story, Kim?
My
Mm.
awakening story. That's interesting because I often talk about that with friends, and with all the crazy stuff that's going on, everyone has their own version of
Yeah.
when they kind of thought, something's feeling off and that kind of thing. Mine's a little bit different. From a little kid, I was always questioning, and I have this awesome older brother, and he's just under 2 years younger, and we would always just question authority, question rules, question why we're doing things, ask questions, and yeah, we would just always have this banter between us, and there were things that just weren't explained and things that didn't make sense to us, and we just thought something's, there's just something, I don't know, there's always a pondering or something. Um,
Mm.
and we, as little kids, we would invent words and things like that, and we had this funny word that for if it was something unexplained, because we were in 5 and 7 when that was the earliest memory I had of kind of questioning things, and my brother would, I think it's very pickledy, and that's what he'd go, pickledy, and I'd go, yeah, and because it was my brother and he said it, so anything that's unexplained to us as little kids was, it's definitely pickledy. And so we just had this funny kind of word to explain kind of things, and I've introduced it to my friends and stuff like that as I've grown up, because it's just a funny, crazy kind of word. So when so I've always kind of, you know questioned things and government things and stuff like that.
Mm.
So 2020 did come, and also have, intuition, and as people, and I know the general consensus with people that are in our community and follow our stuff, most people have said something felt off. So
Yeah.
when we heard this news of the Wuhan wet market and things like that, and all that kind of goings on, we're kind of going, something just feels off about it. But we'd been chatting about stuff that's off, and oppression, and being controlled and all that kind of thing for years and years and years, and just reading that kind of thing, and I know they term it conspiracy theory and silliness like that, but
Yeah.
it's facts, like that we've backed up, like especially David backs up with everything that he says. So it's kind of like there wasn't a moment where I just went, oh my God, we've all been, taken for a ride, and it's not what it seems, and things like that. I think it's more, um, I have to say though, gradually as I got older, I saw the extent of it and how big the
Mm.
reach was. And it wasn't just, little bits here, little bits there. It was kind of like, oh my God, I see this overreaching arc of this huge, whatever it is, controlling, these people and organizations, and, governments are not really governments, they're businesses, and just kind of seeing the grand scheme. And it wasn't really shocking for me because of being kind of growing up with that questioning mind and having a brother that way. And then, of course, being married to David, and he's done, this kind of investigating kind of thing his whole life, and helped so many countries and people from oppression and stuff like this. So this was second nature, like breathing to him and looking at it all, because it's just another version. Just now they've made it so overt, of course, which we
Mm.
kind of look at saying, that's also a good thing. Like these times, like the world couldn't keep going the way that it's going. We
Yeah.
couldn't keep consuming. We couldn't keep people. We couldn't have this divide with, rich and poor, and this scarcity, and just, just treatment of people. There's a whole lot of things as human beings, that aren't being done right, and destroying the planet and things like that. So it had to come to a point, a
Yeah.
crescendo,
Mm.
and the lies and the deceptions. Truth always comes out, and I'm a firm believer. And I always had a fascination with human behaviour and all this kind of stuff. So I feel like I was born for this kind of time, and
Mm.
it is very, very interesting. And of course, it's challenging too. But you've also got to remember, well, those that are, as you say, awake or doing something, taking action, are these modern day superheroes. Like we're doing stuff
Yeah.
in a time when we're going to actually change it up. And I know we're going to get through this and are going to come out the other side. And it's been thousands this dark period, and light and truth prevail. And the things that they're doing, the overreach, and they're getting so ego filled, like they're just going to fall on their own sword. Like you just watch
Yeah.
so many ways that they're trying to destroy humanity in so many different things. The gender thing, like you name it, Black Lives Matter. There's all these hidden
Yes.
awful agendas really to divide and stop community. They're just trying to stop the human factors. And yes, they have a lot of money, and yes, power and all that kind of stuff, but they haven't factored in 1% of people with heart that are actually, these pure human beings that are actually standing up can trump anything. And that's us.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. Very true.
Oh, I love that because for me, when I was starting to wake up, because I too had questions and felt that the world was kind of upside down.
Mm.
And for a long time, I just accepted it. It was like, you kind of go, oh, that's pickling. I was, I was like
The
in
pickle.
my, yeah, in my, in myself, because I didn't have somebody that I could kind of like bounce off in that
Mm-hmm.
way. It was always an internal thing for me. It was like, oh, that doesn't feel right. But I just kind of had this internal way of dismissing it and going, well, that's not for me to understand, and accepting it, and kind of like going, oh, it's a little bit hard, it's a little bit uncomfortable to go there.
It's like the
And,
Matrix. It's overwhelming. You go, whoa,
mm,
that big a lie. And it's like, what's real? And you
yes,
kind of go through this, like a spinning moment of going,
Mm.
yeah, what is real about anything? But hang on, we voted for those people, or we assume that those
yes,
good people. I think, especially for good people, us, people like us, our
yeah,
challenge is we expect to be treated well because we're good people. And when we
yes,
don't, it takes us by surprise sometimes. And it's like, really, they really, like, how can human beings want to either eradicate, depopulate, like take food,
yes.
harm
It's
us?
mind blowing.
Because we wouldn't do that. But then we've got to remember, well, we're in a time in humanity where not everyone. We've got to see what we're not in an ideal world. We'd like to
Yeah.
be and be treated well and have others treat us well, and that's the aim. But right now, that's not the case. So there's that discernment. But it still is
Mm.
like very challenging for people because then they go, okay, if there's one lie, two lies, three lies, what's real?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the cognitive dissonance, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of like go, oh,
Whoa.
if I accept that this is a lie and that I'm in this world, and there's like a force in the world that's not working for my benefit, if I accept that, then what else do I have to look at? What else? It's going to open Pandora's box, and I can't handle it. And so that's the sleeping dog, right? That's like, don't wake the sleeping dog.
Mm.
Well, that was how I was feeling too. And then it got to a point where I couldn't deny it anymore, and I had a massive spiritual experience.
Oh, wow.
And yes, I things in my life were really squeezing me, and a friend of mine said, you need to let it out. Go to the beach and scream at the ocean. And so I did that. I thought this is going to be weird, but
It's
I
great because
was,
then you're not suppressing that energy and it's festering, it's
yes,
out.
I was motivated to do it because I knew somewhere, like that intuition that you were talking about. I knew somewhere that I needed to get it out of me. And I remember taking Juliet with me, and she was like, Mom, I'm not going up onto the edge. I'll stay back here. And so she was kind of like in the wings supporting me. And I went to the edge of the rocks at this beach near our place, and just screamed it all out to the ocean. And once I kind of got all that aggression and that anger out of my body, all of this knowledge came downloading into me.
Wow,
That's
because you
the only
created
way.
space.
Yeah, that's the only way I can describe it. It
Mm.
was like I was empty and now there was space for other
Journaling is
things.
another good thing to do that too. I say to people, get it
That's
out.
what
So
she
there's no,
does.
oh,
Yeah,
good,
that's
because
so
there's no
good.
space for anything to come back in. And people also freak out too about the part where I've lost friends and family. And what I
Mm,
say to them is like, no, like for example, you just really look at it. Were you obligated being with them because they've been friends for this amount of time, or they wore the sister hat or the mother hat? Were they really expanding you? Did you enjoy being with them? This is
yeah,
an opportunity too to go, hang on, what's real in regards to friendships and everything in my life? And then
yeah,
you say to them, hang on a minute, I'm not going to see you because it's just creating harm. I'm arguing with them, trying to convince them this is going
yeah,
on and this, that, and the other, and it's draining. And then you walk out of there and it feels awful. So,
yeah,
then it creates space for, new people to come into your life, exactly like what you've said you created then, because you're so full with this, what the hell's going on, let it
yeah,
all out, either that or journaling or talking to someone. And then
yeah,
you got a nice download of wisdom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because not everybody would be able to go to the beach and do that. Like it just wouldn't feel
No,
right for them.
exactly. That's why, yeah,
Yeah,
journaling is
I
a good thing, like anything to
yeah,
Yeah,
kind
because
of get
I'm
the
I'm
energy out.
definitely I've tried anger releases through
yeah, she doesn't
yelling,
like
and
it.
like I will go under the water in the ocean and I'll scream and stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think
And
I'd drown if I did that.
it is definitely a good practice, but it's not something that I can like do all the time,
No.
and it actually is very tiring. Like it's good when I have a lot built up and I need to release it, but otherwise I do journaling. And actually I'm very similar to you, Kim, in my story like of awakening. I've always knew something was
Mm.
going on, and when 2020 happened, I was like not surprised at all. I was like, yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I
she was
kind of
like,
knew.
"Oh, there it
Well,
is."
I was
Yeah,
just like, I was.
here
It
we
was
go.
more of a. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just kind of knew that something was coming. Like I knew that. I think humans are very interesting creatures in the fact that like we don't think anything bad is going to happen to
yeah.
us, and
We
it's
blind
like,
trust, yeah. That
yeah, and
trusting.
it's
We're
really
conditioned to blind trust, though.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
All the
yeah.
powers
I
out there,
mean,
not within you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Because
100%.
you go back to these ancient cultures and they had preparations, they had a means to protect themselves against disaster,
Mm.
and that's why so many of them survived through floods and through even some of them survived through like meteor,
They're in
strikes and
tune with the environment so much because they were taught that and passed.
yeah,
We just get, the opposite. All those things
Yeah.
yeah,
get hidden from us, we get
Yes.
suppressed, the things we get taught are
yeah,
curated, like and then so
yeah,
Yes.
many other things. God's this thing outside of you, you got to worship. Hang on a minute, what about we are all everything. Ask
yeah,
ourselves. No one knows
yeah,
us
Yeah.
better. All of our
Yeah.
yeah,
authorities out there, and we don't listen to our own wisdom. And also, as women, that's a huge thing. We're very intuitive, and we are the ones that feel most, and want,
Yeah.
saying men feel too and have intuition, but that is our great gift. And women feeling something that's off and then trusting that and building that muscle is huge. And
mm,
instead of people going, oh, you're weird or woo woo or anything like that, no, it's part of being an amazing human being is these senses
Yes.
yeah,
that
So
are being
true.
yeah,
diminished, like we're
exactly,
expanding them. So this is an opportunity to be fully us as well in
yeah,
all of this and be brave and
yeah,
speak
Yes.
up, and that you're going to be looked after because truth prevails. And as I said, we're all born for this time, and those that are
yeah,
speaking up, we're on a journey all together. And a few of us
Mm.
can still, as I said before, can trump this grand evil thing. There's no power that can beat what we have.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that's so true. Like Juliet, I've raised her to not like to question, but not question her intuition, to build
Mm.
her intuition and to trust in it and to work with it and notice
yeah,
it and have it as part of her life, like a friend. Her intuition is
What a great
there.
mum you are to nurture stuff like that and have such a good relationship. And the fact that you two are doing this together is super
Yeah.
inspirational.
Well,
So lovely.
it was born because it was Juliet's idea to do all of this. And it was born because of what we were going through in 2020. And to bring this voice into people's lives and give this idea and this all these ideas a voice and a platform that people can go to, because that's what I was going to say to you before. In 2020, with all that confusion and everything that was going on, finding you and David and the voice that you guys had and putting fact to the
Mm.
things that I was feeling. So
Yes.
that was
Backupable
huge for
facts that you
me.
can read about, not just
Yes.
an opinion. Mm.
Mm.
Because we have
Yes.
many
That,
opinions too, but we also we
yeah.
mostly share the facts.
Yes, exactly. And when you're talking to people, right, and you're telling them, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's happening for me, and people are going, oh, bullshit, that's crap.
Mm.
And then you guys came along and started to actually give me real real time and real earth and real life facts that I
Mm.
could use and talk to people about and send them to your channel and say, look at these guys, look what they're doing, look what they're saying. And it was huge for me. It was huge for my friends. It was huge when somebody pointed me in your direction. I was like, oh, breath of fresh air. Like, this is actually people who are doing the hard yards, and they're
Mm.
talking about the stuff that I'm feeling inside and that I know, but I can't express with real world facts,
Yeah,
you
because
know?
then you just say, "Oh, it doesn't feel right." They go, "Oh, yeah, whatever. You're just what."
Yeah.
You go,
Well,
"Hang on a
that's just
minute.
your feeling.
This is the
Yeah, they can
information. It's
dismiss it.
actually proof. It's not hearsay. It's not
Yeah.
conspiracy theory. It's real. And these are the reasons why I read this paper, read this reference,
Yes.
look at this
And
video.
that
Them
was
actually saying these things."
yeah, and that was a
Mm.
huge breath of fresh air. It was like being in this stuffy room and coming outside and just taking in a huge gasp of air and saying, oh, I knew it. I knew it. I knew this stuff was real, you
Yep.
know? And that was
You just
massive.
needed the information to kind of back up the
Yeah.
feeling and go, "Oh my goodness, yep, it's what I something, yeah, was
Yeah,
amiss,
Yeah.
and this
100%.
is what
And
it is."
yeah,
Yes.
always like what I'm really discovering about myself is I'll believe something and I'll feel my belief and I'll be in that for myself. But when it comes to talking about it with others or bringing it up in conversation, I don't like to do that unless I have physical things to back me up. I mean, it's different
Yeah.
when I'm talking with friends and with close people, that's one thing. But I mean, in terms of discussing it with
The wider community.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
people that I don't know what their opinion is, or if I'm having a discussion and questions are going to be brought up and things like that, I don't like to bring my opinion to a table unless I have things,
Yeah.
information.
To back you
Oh,
up.
pardon me. Yeah, and I think that's also a lot to do with myself too. Like, I don't like to form an opinion a lot um, until I have information. I mean, I will always feel like, for example, with when everything went to crap in 2020, I felt straight away like, oh,
She knew.
like it's not even a big deal, whatever. But I didn't
Mm,
have an opinion
Yeah.
until I started like doing research into it. And that's kind of how I form a lot of my um, opinions and beliefs, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I'll always feel a certain way, but I can't. I guess an opinion is a very physical 3D thing, and in a lot of ways. So I feel like when I have an opinion, I need the 3D information
mm.
to be there for it to stand on
Because they'll always
actual
ask that.
legs.
They go, "Well, how do you know that? Are you just saying that?" Like, and they're
Yeah.
so needing something concrete because otherwise
Yeah,
they'll just try to destroy and stuff like that. And then you'd say to
yeah,
them, like, why does it, shouldn't it feel wrong to you? And David and I did a show on that because it was very interesting, like why some people just feel it straight away and why some
yeah,
people just, no matter what now, just never, 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 never. And it was actually having a conversation about, well, there's different breeds of dogs. You
Yeah.
can say that that's not a dog is a dog is a dog. There's different human being type, we're all slightly a little bit different, and for whatever reason, we all appear to look similar-ish in different ways, but we're not. And some are
Yeah.
just yeah, some are, unfortunately, this is the sad part about it. Some, as we already know, some people are not going to last this, and no matter
Yeah.
what, and there's going to be no convincing. And you've
Yeah.
got to also,
Yes.
that's
It's
being harmful to yourself. You've got to realize at a certain point, they're on their own journey, and
yeah.
Yeah.
it's hard. It doesn't make it any easier because we're good-hearted people and we want everyone to
Yeah.
not be harmed. But they've come into this lifetime for their own journey, and for whatever
Yes.
reason, they're following that, and that has its own end. Or we can't do other people's living for them, and
Yeah.
just got to kind of step back and go. I have information if you want to hear it, and if not. And I think it's got to a
Yeah.
Mm.
point now. It's like I said, some of them are falling on their sword, and they're
Oh,
pushing it
no.
so far that it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That even the most asleep people would have to go, at least that's weird. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
And I think that's what
It's
they'll do is they'll push things too far because they just think they're invincible,
yeah.
and that'll be their own
Uh,
downfall, and just stand back and
yes.
watch and
So
go,
true.
yep,
Looking at it that way actually is really good because that's true. They'll push it to the point where it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it gets to the point where you go,
Well, they're
now
not
the
stand.
tables have turned. Like you're the
Yeah.
conspiracy theorist now,
yeah,
not me.
I
slash
think that's
idiot.
actually
Like, God,
yeah. I think it's actually a gift because there's so many times like where I'll be watching a debate or like for example, oh, okay, I'm gonna do some promo for Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan does this episode where he has these two. So one of them is Graham Hancock. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him, but he's quite a famous representative in the ancient history
yeah,
community
I think he's
because
awesome, and he's pushing the
he.
boundaries just because he's
Oh,
questioning dates of
Mm.
historical things. We
yes,
Yes.
love
I
him.
love him. I
Yeah.
love,
He's
I
poking the
love
bear.
him
Like,
so
who
much.
cares? Like, why are they getting so irate if he goes, oh, maybe it was a different civilization? Stuff. Isn't it supposed to be a debate and discussion? Like, how would
Yeah.
they
Yes.
know? And
Well,
then he's showing new proof and just he's having a
yes.
conversation about it. Like, be intrigued. If I would have
Yeah. Be
thought if you're a
intrigued.
fellow archeologist, you'd go, oh my God, how interesting. Let me
How
talk to him.
amazing. You know, I think that's a
Ego
huge
and
theme.
crazy.
Yeah. I think that's a huge theme in people, but there's this episode on Joe Rogan where Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson are on like they're having an open discussion with this like professional skeptic because
How
apparently
can
that's
you
a
be
thing.
professional
He
as a
Unless you have
makes
the full
skeptic?
title,
he
professional
makes
skeptic.
money. Yeah, he makes money being a skeptic. Like I'm not
Oh,
even
okay.
joking. I don't
It's
know
like
how he
a
must.
highlighted troll. Like,
Yeah, he
good on
A
you.
must.
very wealthy one.
Yeah,
Wealthy
he
troll.
well enough to be on Joe Rogan multiple times. So he's definitely
Wow.
doing well for
He's doing
himself.
well.
Yeah.
But you know, there's actually a beautiful thing about this episode, this discussion on Joe Rogan. And if anyone wants to watch it, if you just Google Joe Rogan, Randall Carlson, Graham Hancock debate, it will come up, or even just putting those two names of Joe Rogan, there's like a bunch of episodes and you can find it. But yeah, so it's a beautiful thing about this, and I think it's a testament to, you know, how the world is changing now, because they were having discussions and it was completely reversed in how you know, you pull out facts, right? Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock were the ones pulling out the fact card. You know, they're the ones that are pulling out the science card, and it was actually the skeptic this time in this debate that was pulling out, you know, hypotheses and you know, what ifs, and you know, wasn't actually giving any physical evidence to you know, debate their claim. And it was so beautiful to watch because it really showed how we've grown in the past few years as a collective, because I see that a lot in my own discussions, because I've done a lot of research into ancient histories, and I have conversations with people, and sometimes, you know, they're asking me questions and I'm the one pulling out all the facts. And, you know, when I'm talking with people, a lot, you know, we're all given the, we don't know how the pyramids were built, or they were built with a ramp, or, you know, whatever the
Yeah, whatever
mainstream want
It's
to,
just
whatever
fun to have a chat about it and
explanation.
kind of ponder things. Now they're saying there's lasers and
yeah.
giants and stuff. Like, what fun conversation. Like, who
Yes.
knows? No one's ever going to know, probably. But it's
Yeah.
fun to ponder.
And like,
Yes.
why reject such a fun reality? Like, this is literally storybook level
Yeah, people love
conversations in
that.
reality.
Mm.
Yeah, like, why not just be open to yourself? But I'm seeing it more and more often. People are super open, and another huge theme is, like, when you talk about the Masons and the elites and stuff, everyone knows about it now. Everyone I have a conversation with, and this is at work, this is not just, oh, my hippie friends or anything. This is anyone that I talk to.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that it's a thing. And now it's this game of, okay, so we all know that there's these people, there's these elites, there's these top of the pyramid, but what are we going to do about it? And that's when the split occurs. There's people that don't care, they want to carry on with their lives, they're happy being at the bottom of the pyramid, and that's that, and they don't want to face the deeper rabbit hole. They've seen the rabbit hole, they know it's
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
but they don't want to
It
go
might just go
down.
away and we can go back to normal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and that's really a thing.
Yes, it's really a thing.
I think waking up and talking, and I've never been like that. I've never ever had the perspective of seeing a rabbit hole and not wanting to go down. At least
Yeah.
when it comes to big things, like maybe, I'll see things about myself that I'm scared to go down the rabbit hole with, but when it comes to big conspiracies and reality altering,
It's just
things.
fascinating as hell. It's like the most, sign me up for that. Those
Yes.
Yes.
kind of conversations or human potential things or anything outside the box conversation, UFOs, like anything that we don't really
UFO.
understand, the
Yeah.
universe,
Yeah.
anything, like it's intriguing and you want to expand as a human being. And
Yeah.
if someone knows something or has fascinating thoughts or opinions, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Juliet was the one that used to bring it to me. Like
Oh
she
yeah.
used to
Moon
come,
landing,
yes, all the time.
UFOs,
Mum, what do you think about the moon landing? Do you reckon it was real? And I
and
was like,
Bigfoot.
what
Oh,
are you talking about?
I was obsessed with Bigfoot. That's the whole thing. Oh my gosh. I was.
Questions that I used to think, where is this coming from? Like, why is she asking me these
Yeah, because you
things?
grew up in the 80s, and that was
Mm,
like huge indoctrination of, like, if you
yes.
believed anything outside of the ordinary, it was a lot different than today, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was huge, like anything that made you in the spotlight as a nerd or as a, anything out of the normal. Like I grew up,
There was no general
my,
conversations about any of
no,
it. It was
my
only the
dad
odd
was
book somewhere,
Italian.
not internet,
Yeah,
nothing back then.
no,
I grew up in that era too.
yes. So my dad was Italian and my mum was Scottish, right? So that was weird enough for me growing up in the 80s. Um, and people would be like, that what's it like having an Italian father and a Scottish mother? And it was like a real exotic thing. And it was like, it's
The
just
great thing
normal
is
to
we don't
me.
eat meat and three vegetables, so boom, in Australia.
Yes,
We
exactly.
eat nice things.
Yeah. And yeah, so because we didn't have the internet and because you were just trying to fit in, like survival in at school was just fitting in.
Yeah.
And then having a child in the 2000s, for me growing up then in the 2010s, with the internet and with all of this stuff, so
I
she would,
remember the good old 2010s.
yeah. She would,
2010.
yeah, the good old days when I was young.
Yeah, conspiracy YouTube was my home. I
Yes.
loved it.
Ah,
Yeah. And then what happened after that, it was actually really fascinating because I went from being literally like 9, 10 years old, obsessed with conspiracies and watching all these like
you should have
stupid
hung out with
YouTube
my brother
videos.
and I. We would have had a great
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, I know now, like looking back at these videos, they built me as a person and
Yeah.
they opened me, but like I don't know if I would believe many of them today, but it was still
At
something
least
that
it
I
was a
loved.
start to get you thinking.
Yeah, it was a
All that
start,
was
and
available, you had to just take what you had.
yeah, and it was such like a fun thing for me. Like it really was fun.
It's like
And
a
then
real
I went
treasure
from
hunt kind of thing.
yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly.
yes, and I went from that to then starting a charity with with my family,
Oh,
and
wow.
so we started a charity, and
Why
we
did we
set up
start it?
just because my grandfather, he had motor neuron disease,
Which is
and
ALS in America.
yeah, which is ALS, and we started up a lemonade stand, and we had a foundation, and from this, setting up a foundation taught us all about like the corruption in foundations and in the
In the gifting community.
big business as well, because we had a lot of big business connections now, and you learn a lot about the system. You learn about the ins and outs of the system and how it's set up to fail people who don't know about it. And that was kind of what got me into, because I went from like very woo woo, like not much to attach to, my real life that I could like feel and see and do. I went from those types of conspiracies
To the
to
real life
then
ones.
real life ones, and it made me think, that really opened me up, because it went from, well, I never thought this would have been real, so maybe there's things out there, and it just kind of showed me, oh, like I already knew the system was so corrupt because I live in this world I can see,
Yeah.
but
I have eyes.
but
Look at
now,
you and
yeah.
go, really? They want us to believe that? Hmm.
Yeah, but now I can like have something attached to it, like where, because so many people would, it's just a thrown comment. Oh, the world's gone to crap,
Yeah.
and nobody does anything, that because it's hard when you're in it to see how it's
What
actually,
impact you can have.
yeah, and
Yeah.
also like
What you
how it
can do.
actually is,
Yes.
screwing you over,
Because you think no, this issue, this what I'm seeing is so big because you feel it. You can feel how big it is, right? You
Yeah.
can, it's in there. And you're thinking it's so big, what can I do? What can one person
We
do
get
about
that a
it?
lot.
Yeah, what can I do? And so, you know, I can face my fear of public speaking and come on and start talking to people. That's
I
what I
faced
can
my
do.
fear of public speaking too because it was not natural to me. And doing the
Yeah.
shows with David has helped. Now I feel much more comfortable. I'm not all the way where I want to be, but yeah, it is. You just got to go and get uncomfortable, stretch yourself,
Yes.
and there's always a reward. You always, it
Yeah.
turns out when you stretch yourself, and there is something all of us can do, even as one person. It's like, you know, what we've found is a lot of people go, well, what should we do, Kim and David? And I say, well, hang on a minute, pause. The reason we're in this mess is because you've given away your authority and you've asked out there, the government and stuff like that. You've relied on everyone else outside of you to make your decisions for you.
Yeah.
And lucky we're good people because we could go stand on your head and turn around 5 times and you'll be in touch with something. And we often muck around about the most ridiculous things. If we told people to go do them, they would do. And we'll go, lucky we're good people because we could easily lead you down some cult path or something weird, you know, something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
take advantage of people. And we go, no, stop. We're doing each day what we feel is a good thing to do. And we're spreading, doing shows and things like that and do different workshops and talk to people and gather people together. Make sure you regularly get together and especially girls get together and recharge that way and just, stay connected with each other and then go, what is my unique thing that I can do? So, for example, you guys are doing a great job doing this. It was uncomfortable at first, but there was an impulse, like trust an impulse of what's calling you. And it's not better, like we're not better or doing a more impactful job. We don't know what reach you have in regards to the
Yeah.
flow and effect. One person that you could reach could do something. You just don't know how it can be. And all you can do is don't compare yourself to anybody because that's just toxic in general. And do
Yeah.
your own thing and do it well and just be consistent at it. And then by doing that, you actually inspire people. Like that's what happens. I ask people, go, well, I just want to be around you. And then in that energy, it's like inspiration builds or seeds get planted and go, oh, I hadn't thought that I could take that to my community. Oh my God, I've never grown anything in my life. My kids think organic food comes from the organic section in the supermarket. Like,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot where you can actually go back to grassroots living and real living and be healthier doing it and connect to people, slow down, like all those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I love that.
Very true.
Yeah, slow down, connect, in and grow your own food. I used to
Yeah,
have a
and wisdoms
blog.
will come when you slow down in that space and you've got an intention to connect to people and stuff. You create great community of your choice too, not because you feel obligated
Yeah.
to go and hang out with people who are annoying when you really look at it. You really like them
Yeah.
anyway.
Yes.
And then you're actually surrounded by now. We've got the best bunch of friends that we choose. Like I've still got some great family members who, are awesome, but a lot of friends fell away and things like that. And I think, well, were they really friends anyway? It was like a spring
Mm.
clean, and now I'm surrounded by real, genuine people that have our back and that I actually enjoy being around, and actually be really real with conversations. You don't have to watch what you're saying, or you can talk
Yeah.
about, like, in 5 minutes, someone you've never met these days, you can be so real with and trusting with. And it's just
Yeah.
that level of humanity. There's so many upsides to this, but don't, yeah, the worst
Yes.
thing is to compare yourself. Well, I'm not, am I, how far, many people am I reaching? How, what should I do and all that kind of stuff. I'm only one person. And as I said before, no, think of the David and Goliath but a story. One
Yeah.
person with a pure heart on a little mission can smash anything. That
Yeah.
energy is so potent, and they don't factor that in, and that's our stealth weapon.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I so agree with that. I really agree that it doesn't. I was just having this conversation the other day with some friends of mine. It doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest. It doesn't have to look like that.
No,
Mm.
because
It
that's not
it can
inauthentic.
just
That's
be
inauthentic to
conversation.
you, and you won't do it well anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's what we kind of like. That's what we are like. That's I think that's what we're thinking it looks like. Like, oh, I'll never be able to climb Mount Everest. I
And
would
I don't
never
have
be
trillions
able
of
to do
dollars like
this.
them, and I'm not in the government and all these things. And it's like, no, stop it, slap in the head.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
diminishing. They want you to do that fear scarcity thing, and just stand. I literally have your posture up and go, no, what is my unique, authentic thing, and allow it to come in. And you know what you do well, even if it was like painting.
Yeah.
And then we had a painting group or something where you raise the frequency. Like at the moment, I'm painting. Well, I did this line before for David, and that represents this masculine energy and strength that he has. And now I'm doing this amazing owl, and it's representing the feminine coming in and rising, and it's this force. And when I do that, our whole house is just filled with so much different energy. David's more lit up, and that then has an impact to what he's doing each day. And there's a fuel and an energy created when you're doing what you're meant to do. And I know that will have an impact in regards to, like the line was unexpected. I just painted it, and everyone goes, "Well, I want a T-shirt now." And then I've
Yeah.
sold it at auctions, raising money for all of this kind of thing. And people have turned it into cups, and it's been an inspirational thing. And we made a catchphrase, stand with your tribe, and you just never know when you do your thing what's going to come out
Mm.
of it. I was just doing a painting because I was doing what I
Yeah.
love, and instead of doing all the other things which I've done years before, like I had a nursing company and was thinking, well, I'm reaching more people doing that. If I just paint, how is that helping the world? I did what I'm meant to do, which is painting, and I still love people contact and workshops and all that kind of thing. But my main focus now, I'm drawn to painting, and that was unexpected. And I thought now I'm going to have its feminine component of
Yeah.
this
Awesome.
fearsome, awesome, powerful white owl flying in, and who knows what will become of that. And
Mm.
so yeah, and then
Yeah.
people when they're
Awesome.
around that, it's like they feel inspired because I'm raising the frequency and the energy, and there's just something that it triggers in them. Oh, I feel like I want to invent something. I just love being around you because I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And if everyone did that, that's just a force.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's you owning that about yourself. That's
Yep,
what that is. You
being
really
you.
living in that energy, that self, that giving yourself that gift of, well, this is what really inspires me. And when you've indulged in that and you've developed that in yourself, then that goes out to the community and to the people around you and they feel it.
Yeah. You don't know the effect of that. Like people can say, oh, well, hang on, if someone's living their full life force and there's someone that, like me, that has a lot of vibrancy and things like that, if you're fully in your capacity and your vibrancy and what you're authentically being you, that has a ripple effect that we can't even measure. And that's the tricky part because
Yeah.
it isn't measurable, but you can feel it. And then people around you going, oh, I feel now I want to be inspired to do my thing. Well, if she's doing it and I've heard her story, I can
Yeah.
do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
just a matter of,
And I
true.
and of
think,
course you could do many different things. It's just picking one thing that you enjoy. Because I
Yeah.
have many interests, but I'm going, no, I'm going to sit down, focus on one thing. And right now, what I feel drawn to is the painting.
yeah, and
Mm,
I think that's the beauty of the internet as well, because people are doing that online now too, and that has
Yeah.
such a big spread. I mean, you're one example because obviously we're here talking and you
yeah.
have your show fully live and stuff. But yeah, places like YouTube are now a safe haven for me because when because I'm living in Sydney, and the city can get pretty overbearing on me, and I get pretty um like disconnected sometimes from nature and from just
Yeah.
everything here. And while I'm here, YouTube is a huge safe haven because I watch videos where people are living the life of their dreams, and it inspires me. It makes
Mm.
me feel good, and it's like a little tool in my belt while I'm here that serves me in this moment. I think putting a label on the internet or on technology as good or bad, it can be a very dangerous thing because it's
It's like a
actually a
gun. It's
super.
whoever's wielding it. Like,
Yeah,
Yes, and
what they're
it's
going
what
to.
that's
your
true.
intention is, like what
Yeah.
are your plans with using it? I mean, if your plan is to um it's like you can overdose on the internet. You absolutely can,
Mm.
and you can get lost in space, in cyberspace, but if you're um intentional, and if you like, that's all it really
But that's
takes.
anything.
Yeah,
That's
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 everything in
anything in
anything.
life.
life.
Having healthy amounts, like that mid space of things, like it's yeah. You can overindulge in anything. It's like food. It's like anything. Like a
Yeah.
glass of wine is fine, but having a bottle every
Yeah.
night, well, come on, you know.
Yeah.
It's having self control, and yeah, like anything can be a hindrance or it can be a help. It's how, yeah, whoever wields it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's important not to judge yourself. Like if you're finding inspiration on the internet, then that's a superpower. That's you're drawing that
Yeah.
power out of that thing for yourself that you can then inspire yourself with and go out and do something amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, when the intention is always to create something from a place of inspiration, then I
Mm-hmm.
think that judging that thing because there's a label on it can be debilitating,
You
Yeah.
just take away
to
options.
yourself.
Like, look at Pinterest at the moment. It was set up so artists and things could get inspirations. If you wanted
Yeah.
to paint something, or wear a certain, what'll I wear this summer or winter or something? People have done all this thing on there, and you can just go, oh, I'll get inspired looking at that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you sat there looking at it all day and night and got nothing done, but it's, yeah, you got to have self.
I've done that.
Over the Pinterest rabbit holes, I have to say, I get
Yes.
sucked into. That's pretty awesome on there. Good
Yeah.
stuff on there.
Yeah. I think it's Pinterest is one of the best social medias on the
Yeah.
internet, in my personal humble opinion. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I just look at humanity and I just think we're such an interesting place, and it's really something that's been coming up for me is like it's up to you where you put your energy about humanity,
Yeah.
because I'm working with I'm working in a space that like is very three-dimensional. Let's put that label on it. I don't like labels, but that's for the purpose of
Yeah,
explaining. Yeah,
explaining.
very
Got it.
3D space, and I'm talking with my coworkers because I love them as people. Like they're beautiful, beautiful souls. But whenever we discuss anything about the world, it's just doom and gloom, and it's just like no hope. Hope is lost. And sometimes I get sucked into that a little bit. Like I didn't at first, but when you go in there, four
Regularly.
times a
Yeah.
week,
And that's all the
every,
conversation is, and it's either
yeah,
that
Yes.
or that. Mm.
yeah,
And you're the only
and I'm the
voice
only
that's
voice.
saying something
Oh,
Yeah,
positive.
so it can get like a very very dark sometimes, and yes, so I realized through that, I'm grateful for this experience because it taught me it's life is all about what you focus on,
Yeah.
because
So
what they're
true.
saying isn't necessarily untrue. I mean, the things that they're referencing and, what they're saying, that's what they're focusing on. And those facts or, whatever they've experienced in life, that has happened, it's not a lie what they're saying, but also the things that I'm saying aren't a lie. They've happened, and it's up to us as individuals to choose where to put our energy and focus, because
Absolutely.
and that's not saying, oh, ignore the dark, or like, don't, we have to go there sometimes.
Yeah, you
We
have to
all have it within
understand.
us.
You have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
understand and do research on it so you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah,
Don't
and
get
I
Yes.
sucked into it. Like, go, hang on a minute,
yeah,
there's
Yes.
been too much. I need to go do something light.
yeah,
Yeah, you got to watch
yeah,
again a balance in it.
It's a choice, isn't it? It's all
Yep.
about choice,
yeah.
really.
And I think that's a powerful thing. I think that's like, it is a
That
powerful thing.
that's
That's
your
our
your pa-
sovereignty.
yeah, that's your power.
Yes.
That's your personal power is what you choose to focus on.
Yeah.
Because knowing that it's there is, I went into a deep place of um, fear and sorrow, and just when I heard my Achilles heel in this whole journey was finding out about the kids and the tunnels under
Mm.
the cities and
That was
that
a big
stuff,
one for a
right?
lot of people. That was like, whoa, all of
Yeah,
that and all the other
yeah,
things that go with that. Mm.
yeah. Because
That's tough.
I had seen a documentary many years ago about the tunnels in New York, actually. And a person had taken a microphone and a camera down to the homeless people in the city, and there was this, I never forget it, there was a woman who lived out of a trolley, and she was talking about how children in that community, in the homeless community, were going missing, and she thinks they were being taken down into this tunnel network under the city. That's
Hmm.
what she was saying in this interview. And I remember seeing that. Oh, it was like in the 90s, I think. And
Wow.
really just rejecting it and going, oh, no,
I
I'm
can't
not
face
going
it.
there.
Yeah.
No, it
Mm.
was a complete shutdown of I am not even going to think about it. I don't want to know. So something in me was triggered in
Yeah.
deep inside, and I wasn't ready to see it. I wasn't ready to hear it. Fast forward to 2020, and when it all started to come out, I remembered this
Mm.
documentary that I had seen many years ago, and I just said to myself, oh my God, I knew. And it just plummeted me down into the depths of despair. And
Yeah.
I spent probably about 3 weeks crying
Mm.
and coming to terms with this truth that I now was completely and utterly immersed in. And then I had to somehow digest it
Hmm.
and come out the other side and say, okay, now I know about this. How am I going to live my life from this point on? What
What
things
did you
am I going to
do? What did you do?
choose? Yeah.
How did you do that?
I had really good voices in my life. I looked at my own children. I looked at how I wanted to be a mother. I was filled with gratitude, and I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it. Filled with gratitude that I was in a position where my children were close to me and that I knew where they were, and
Mm.
and really prayed for the mothers who had lost their children. And I decided when Juliet came to me and said, Mum, we need to do this podcast, I decided I was going to face my fear of public speaking and
Ooh.
do it.
Yep.
And that was my way of doing something in the world that felt right to me, got me out of my comfort zone, and actually started to make me feel excited.
Mm.
And thought to myself, this is a way, just having conversations in the public realm,
Because
this
we're
is a
good at
way
having
that I can,
conversations as women anyway. We just got to forget a microphone to the hand,
yes,
camera.
yes, and do it in a way that feels right to me, is inviting to the public and gets the truth out there,
Hmm.
and is talking about this stuff in a way that is not weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just talking,
Yeah.
and we're just asking questions of each other. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're not
Yeah.
doing the way
Nothing.
you guys are doing it is lovely because there's this beautiful, playful tone. You're talking about serious
Yeah.
things, but there's no opportunity for someone to kind of get aggressive or kind of get really like it. Yeah, it's a lovely, which is your intention because you talk a lot
Yes.
about, you just want to ponder things, question things like, what about this?
Yes.
Like playful dance together about,
Yeah.
no one's wrong or right because do we know really anything that's really, really real? Like, I hope we do find out one day, but if we don't, like, it's interesting going, what do you think? What do you think? And it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
That's
It
it.
lights you up.
Yes. What
Mm.
do you think?
Yeah.
What's on your heart? What's happening in your world? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's put it out there, and let's just, you know, it's like a little spy camera into your world, into your
Yeah.
reality, and we come together and we talk about that.
Mm.
And when we do that, when we're interested in hearing people's stories, when we're interested in each other
Mm-hmm.
and what you have to say about something, when we just come to the table with an interest, because that's me, when Juliet used to come to me and say, Mum, what do you think about the moon landing? Do you think it was real? And me kind of going, like, what are you talking about?
Is that why you
Nobody's
got
ever
the
asked me
astronaut
that
behind you?
question.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny.
Yeah, she has a fascination with space.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm really grateful to have had space in this house to, ask questions and
Yeah.
not to have to keep everything to myself. And, I think that's one side where the internet can be really good because it
Yeah.
provided me with an actual way to expand my consciousness and my information and my knowledge because before I've always been very open to questioning things, but it was watching those videos that allowed me to find fun in it and
Yeah. Find the
and
fun.
yeah, and
Mm.
like see and feel into actual events that people say took place, and it put like a very physical element of the questioning, and it's led me to so many corners of life I never thought. Like, I'm into painting like you because I painted all of this,
Mm.
That's
and
great.
yeah, I love so many things. I've looking at your cardigan, I'm getting into crochet.
Oh,
I love,
cool.
yeah, I love space. I love astronomy. I love actually astronomy and astrology as well. And I love like, oh,
Lots.
Wide
anything,
variety.
everything. Oh, I
That's
love so many things.
fantastic. You'll never be
Yeah,
bored.
yeah,
Yes.
I truly never get bored. Give me a laptop or give me paints, and like my whole room is just like one big craft room. I have paint
Yes.
everywhere. I have beads because I make jewelry. I have
Sounds like a
clay
perfect
and
room. I'd like that room.
y- yeah, it's like an art room with everything I could ever need if I want to do something new. And yeah, so that's one thing I'm grateful for. And I really do think that part of the reason why I have this is because I've always had space to explore new things.
Your
And
mum's
the
letting you be
internet,
fully you, which is such a gift. You don't get that often.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
wonderful.
I was the most embarrassing child with my outfits, and she would let me walk around with her. So,
As long as, look, I was cool with it as long as she was aware of the impact she was making, right?
Yep.
As long as she was like fully aware of how she
Owning
was
who
going to
she
be
was at a young
presented.
age. Good on you.
yeah,
So
I just
I
did
was cool
me.
with it. I was cool.
I really did not care. And
She didn't, and that
Well,
was
that's great
inspiring
because
to
that
me,
serves
right?
you now. Because these days you got to have a thick skin, and if you're going to be,
yeah,
Yes.
these 1% people that speak up, worrying about what other people think will just steer you.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So she would, I remember the conversation. I said, you realize people are going to be looking at you if you dress like that. And I'm cool with it. If you want to do it, you just need to understand the impact that you're going to have when you walk out the door. And she went, Mum, let them look. I don't care. And
Brilliant.
I went, oh, you
May
go,
as
girl.
well.
Yeah. And I was like, well, if she doesn't care, I'm not going to care.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then that was it. It was a
That's
huge lesson for her.
beautiful. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really did not. I like look back at my outfits and look, no judgment because I love myself, but God, it was wild. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And good on you, Juliet, because you're expressing yourself. She was
Yeah.
really
You're an
Yeah,
expressing
artist.
oh,
You're
yeah.
herself.
doing your
No,
art
there's
on yourself, adorning yourself.
yeah, there's
Yes.
no
Great.
absolutely no judgment. I look back and I laugh and it's a great time in my life and I've learned like I learned a lot about myself through that version,
Yes.
because it's actually really weird. I went through a period because we all know how puberty and teenagehood and adolescence is and high school and stuff and I lost a lot of myself, but
Mm.
I'm kind of going through an identity crisis at the moment.
Are
Because
you?
yeah, very much so. But I
You heard
think,
it here
That's
first.
news to me.
but I think I'm coming back to like no, maybe not coming back, but I've kind of come full circle, and I'm now the adult version of my 9-year-old self because my 9-year-old self is the one that we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, because I lost that element for a very long time of not caring what other people think.
Yeah.
I've always
But
been.
that's
It's
natural.
very
We
hard
all,
to
I
do
think,
when you're in your teenage years and the
Oh
peers
yeah,
around
of
you
yes.
want to fit
course,
in.
Yeah, Kim,
yeah,
so
Madness.
true.
of course.
Yeah.
And but it carries over sometimes. I mean, it takes a while to break out of the patterns because when you're developing, that's your brain as well, and so you're creating new habits of caring what other people think, and that
Yeah.
Yeah.
pattern, once you
And it's so
create a pattern, that's
subconscious
hard to
anyway,
break.
let alone
Yeah.
adding to it with some crazy outfit where you get extra attention. Everyone just wants to blend in and survive high school
Yeah,
and puberty and teenage years. It's a tough time. And then, but that little voice nags at you, your authentic voice going, hang on a minute, this is
Yeah.
not what I really want to wear. I don't feel comfortable. And when you're in
yeah,
like what you like, everything flows on. Your day's better, like everything when you're authentically you in every way and how you dress. But that little voice won't stop, will it? Like it's just going, no,
no,
I want to be me
Thank
again.
goodness for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It feels like right now I'm coming back to that space, of not giving. Like when I say I didn't care, there was not one cell in my body that cared. Like not even a little nagging voice in my head. It was never once.
Yeah.
It was just like I don't remember when it changed. I don't think there was anything specifically other than just like being in high school.
Yeah.
But
A
yeah,
gradual,
And
it
that
was
it
a
adds
was a
to like
gradual
gradual,
decline.
any individual like being yourself thing. You got to fit into this one size fits all. So there was no encouragement there. And yeah, it would just be, gosh, if anyone's themselves fully in high school, I've yet to see it. It's too hard. Not a good
yeah.
environment, school in general, but
No.
hopefully we can change all those things as well. Lots of
Yeah.
systems
Yes.
that need a revamp.
Yeah.
Yes, Kim. And we could
Mm.
have a whole show dedicated just to that one topic
Absolutely.
because
Mm.
I have two children, right? I've got my daughter and my son who's 7 years younger than Juliet, and they've been raised very differently because there's such a big gap.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the person I was when Juliet was his age is not the person I am now.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so they've had very different childhoods between
Yes.
the two of them. And I mean, they're both not one's better than the other, they're just different.
Had different
And
experiences. You've been different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
I bet you were more
exactly.
relaxed the second time round and more chilled and just like,
Well, yeah, in some ways, and then in other ways, because I know things that I didn't know when Juliet was,
okay.
yes,
Sometimes it's opposite.
yeah, sometimes it can be, I worry about different things. Like the worry is
Yeah.
still there, of course. I just worry about different things. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But I tend to have my own back a lot more this
Nice.
time,
Hmm.
which kind of looks like on the outside that I'm more relaxed because I have my own internal dialogue with myself when I start to worry and when I'm like in that kind of like that energy where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, and
Yeah.
this is the
Just
first time I've
trusting
been in
yourself
this
more
situation.
and owning your space and
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and not doubting yourself. And it's also tricky too because some women can be their own worst enemy and drag each other
Yeah.
down and things like that. And surrounding yourself with a good bunch of friends and support is everything at any
Yeah.
age, um, kids and
Yes.
yeah.
And Juliet, that's one thing she went through in the whole 2020 saga. She went through a huge change in her life with friends where
Mm.
and my son too, where we were locked down in Sydney and he didn't get to see his friends anymore, and Juliet the same. And so it was like a huge culling of all of those relationships for all of us, my husband,
Yeah.
me, and the two kids. And then we had to come out the other side of it and build that again. And we're still 3 years later, still building that circle of people
Yeah.
who we trust and that we click with, you know.
Yep. Yep. On the same
Mm.
page and that kind of thing. Because otherwise, you
Yeah,
just too hard.
yeah, it was a massive
Watching what you
like,
have to say and do, and then constant like bickering, and just think, no, it's just need your
mm,
Yeah.
support through now massively. People on your
yeah,
team to
exactly.
create things together and yeah, expand.
Expand, yes, expansion.
Yeah.
Mm.
And there were times where I was feeling like if I expand anymore, I'm going to disappear.
Need to
I'm
go
not there.
meditate for a while and be by myself. I definitely do that regularly.
Yeah,
Just fill up and quiet and need that
yeah,
too.
Yeah, we need that as people.
yes,
Oh gosh, you need
definitely.
that. Yeah. Can't be in
Yeah.
the light all the time and talking and yeah, you got to kind of go, hang on a minute. I need some me time and quiet time and look after yourself is huge. Very
Yeah.
important.
Wow.
Yes, Kim. Oh my goodness.
It's
It's
been an
been,
hour.
Been
yeah, it's an hour
lovely.
now, and it's
Oh, that
been
went fast.
such a pleasure.
Yeah, it did. You are seriously such an inspiring woman.
Mm,
Like, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and having this
Thank you.
conversation.
You both are
It's
inspiring too,
really,
and remember the effect you guys are having. Being a mother and a daughter is now and will be so powerful. Keep building on that because that is a rare, beautiful jewel, and
thank
it's
you.
wonderful. And I've enjoyed it for many reasons, and that's a
oh,
huge, huge thing. What a great team you are.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. You're making me emotional.
Good.
Thank you,
yeah.
Kim. That
Thank
means a
you.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
it's such a beautiful episode of ebbs and flows. I love when I mean it's every single time, but it's such an easy like to and fro
Yeah.
of conversation and I really bounce off of your energy and just yeah, it
Yeah,
was
same
such a
with you
beautiful
guys.
conversation. Oh,
It's good when you just let things flow where they're meant to go and it works out.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
power in that. There's
Mm,
massive power in allowing the
Controlling
conversation to,
stuff is like, oh no, just let it
yeah.
flow.
yeah.
And
We
the right
learned
people will
that,
be
didn't
listening
we?
that need to hear it. I always think that too. The right people are listening that need to hear where it's going and all
Yeah.
the things we're saying. Then so
Yeah, I
understood.
think when you have an intention of being present with each
Mm,
other and you just allow that presence to come out the way it wants to and you give it room, I think that's a really, really powerful thing.
yeah.
And that is something that we really want to encourage on our platform and with our listeners and watchers because that stuff is when you trust that things
Hmm.
are flowing the way they're meant to, people are going to come in when they're meant to, they're going to see it. That stuff is like gold.
Mm,
Absolutely. So agree
Mm.
with you. I've really
yeah.
enjoyed
Wow.
it. It's been just easy and like we're
Yeah.
Mm,
in a cafe together chit chatting. It's just
Yes,
lovely,
yeah.
like
exactly.
friends.
Yeah.
So, Kim, will you come on again in
Of
a few months?
course.
Would you come on?
Yes,
Oh, awesome. Yes.
definitely. Yeah, that'd be
Awesome.
lovely. Yep, for
Yes.
sure.
We'll
Got to
expand
get
on
my
this
Aussie boots
conversation.
too, you know. I need some Aussie conversations and
Yeah.
voices.
The accents.
Yeah, I get
And
all
I must
American
say,
around
you
here.
kept your accent. You still have it.
Oh, I'll be keeping it, don't you worry. But I've only been here 4 years, but you know, mine is so distinct and it's such a mix of the country and city. So I had Sydney and
Yeah.
then Bathurst. I don't think
Yeah,
it'll
right.
change. And my friends here encourage me to keep it because they're learning the slang and they're loving it.
Awesome.
All
Wow.
right, well,
Okay.
have a
Nah,
lovely, lovely day, you beautiful ladies, and I look
thank
forward
you.
to
We
chatting
Yes.
will.
again.
And thank you everyone for watching.
Yes.
See you
Bye.
next week.